Citi Field in New York. The New York Mets play the Miami Marlins. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Spectrum Mobile. Spectrum Mobile has unlimited talk, text, and data. Save up to 40%. Go to SpectrumMobile.com today. By your Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealers. Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing. By Geico, over 75 years of savings and service. And by Hyundai. Hyundai, the longer you look, the more there is to like. And right now, there's a lot to see at your Hyundai dealer. And a pleasant good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Citi Field. Gary Cohen, Keith Hernandez with you today for the final game of the 2018 baseball season. I can't even imagine. I know what it's like for us as broadcasters, but for players who have gone through 161 games, they get to the ballpark on the last day of the season. They know that the postseason's not waiting for them. What's the feeling like?
Well, I think it varies from individual players. I know in this instance here with the Mets, Jay Bruce has got to be probably relieved that it's over. The veterans usually feel, okay, it's over, it's time to go home and recharge the batteries. But the youngsters, like Smith and Conforto, who had a great charge, McNeil, they still want to play, and they're raring to go for next year. And they had their opportunities here, particularly McNeil and Smith, and they look forward to spring training.
Meanwhile, front and center will be Noah Syndergaard today. His final start of it's been a kind of a roller coaster year.
Well, he's finished strong. That's the most important thing. When you're an athlete, if you have your choice between a good first half and a bad second half, or vice versa, you will take the strong finish. And Noah has finished strong, particularly in September. His last 7 starts, as you saw there, have been outstanding. So something to build on. He's a cornerstone for this team going forward in 2019.
Mets starting pitching has been spectacular coming down the stretch. Just 1 run in their last 31 innings. Mets and Marlins, game 162, first pitch coming up. to you by Cadillac. Visit CadillacTristate.com for exceptional offers. Buy cash for life from the New York Lottery. You could win $1,000 a day for life. And by Toyota, the Toyota Camry, Highlander, and RAV4 have something for everybody. Toyota, let's go places. This Hispanic Heritage Month, MLB and the Mets are celebrating the many ways Latinos put an accent on baseball. Share how you put an accent on the game with hashtag Ponle Acento. Built for Baseball brought to you by T-Mobile. Everybody is playing at the same time on the final day of the season. We have ties for the division lead in both the Central and the West. In each case, the team that does not win the division will get a wild card. If necessary, tiebreakers will be played tomorrow afternoon in Chicago and or in Los Angeles. Here are the pitching matchups for the relevant games. You've got 5 first-place teams in the National League going into the last day, which is crazy. The Dodgers scratched Walker Buehler in favor of Rich Hill. The Rockies scratched German Marquez in favor of Tyler Anderson. The Nationals decided not to pitch Max Scherzer on the last day and save his arm, and so Eric Fetty will pitch instead. So those are some of the adjustments that have been made with an eye toward possible tiebreakers tomorrow, possible wild card game on Tuesday, as everybody tries to figure out who's going where in the postseason. Mets are going for 9 more innings. First pitch coming up. Well, he was one of the most electric players in Mets history. Jose Reyes will play what is undoubtedly his final game as a Met today. Mets all-time leader in triples and steals will probably play 1 inning in the field, get 1 at bat. Noah Syndergaard's first pitch to JT Riddle is in for a strike, and we're underway.
And there's the Toyota numbers for Noah Syndergaard. He has pretty much dominated the Marlins over his short career, 7 starts, 5-0, ERA below 2.
JT Riddle making his first start in the series, pops one foul and it's 0-2. Riddle's played about half the games at shortstop for the Marlins this year. He's had a sort of a disappointing year, hitting .230, 9 home runs, including one against the Mets the last time these two teams got together in early September, and he lines one over short for a base hit to open the ball game. So Syndergaard on an 0-2 fastball gives up a leadoff base hit to Riddle.
Well, Noah has been giving up a lot more hits this year than he normally does. Coming into the game, that's 144th hit of the season off of Noah, and 145 and a third. Usually at numbers much lower.
So the leadoff man aboard now, Starlin Castro, 3 for 10 in this series, 279 on the year. 1,445 hits for the 28-year-old Castro. With the 3 o'clock start today, the Shadows are just behind home plate, and in a very short period of time on a mostly sunny day, the shadows are going to start to come into effect. Another year this year where baseball is starting every game at the same hour on the final day of the season, which means there is scoreboard watching going on in all the relevant precincts. The Dodgers just put a run across in the first inning in San Francisco on a Justin Turner RBI double, and so the Dodgers are the first to score. They go into the day tied with the Rockies for the National League West lead. Grounded weakly down to third. Frazier to second for one. McNeil on to first, and it's in time for the double play. Not that hard hit, but the Mets go around the horn for a 5-4-3 double play. 2 out and nobody on.
Well, nice quick release from Frazier, and we've noted McNeil turning much better at second base, turning that double play.
There is no comparison between McNeil now turning that double play and McNeil when he first came up.
Correct. We were alarmed and a little, quite frankly, a little worried. But boy, he's put some time in and come a long way.
Give a lot of credit to Mets infield coach Gary DiSarcina, who worked with him at shortening that arm stroke and really making him quicker on turning two. There's the Hyundai starting lineup for the Marlins. JT Realmuto is running the club today. Don Mattingly has a habit of handing off his lineup card on the season's final day. He did it with Martin Prado a couple of years ago. He did it with A.J. Ellis last year, and today JT Realmuto is calling the shots, and he's got Derek Dietrich playing third base and batting third today.
All those catchers, they want to manage.
Grounded weakly on the right side. Bruce comes in to sweep it up, and he'll take it to the bag just ahead of Dietrich, and that retires the side. So Syndergaard gets helped out by a double play for a scoreless first. Reyes for his final at bat when we come back. Well, here is Jose Reyes for what we expect will be his final at bat as a Met. Jose was a big part of the David Wright festivities last night, sharing the left side of the infield with his longtime infield partner for the final time. And now Reyes scheduled to get one at bat and come out of the game. Jose had a leadoff double in the first inning last night. Jose not only is the Mets all-time leader in triples and steals, but he's second behind David Wright in a host of categories, including runs and hits and doubles and total bases and extra base hits. Sandy Alcantara on the mound for the Marlins, and Reyes takes a sinker low, and it's 1-1. It's been a difficult year for Jose. Part-time player, has not produced much. He said before the game today he's not sure about his future, whether he's going to play anymore. Pop one foul off the left side. Dietrich will watch it go out of play.
Well, there comes a time in everybody's career, every star player, and Jose certainly was a star, where, you know, he's coming into the game hitting under 200. It's no fun. It can't be any fun. It's frustrating, and you just begin to doubt yourself.
1-2, and he takes a sinker low. 2-2. Now, Jose was a star for this team from the time he came up in 2003 till the time he left with a batting title in hand after 2011. Went to Miami, went to Toronto, went to Colorado. Had a stain on his legacy because of the domestic violence charge that resulted in a suspension, but the Mets took him back last year, and he filled a big role for them. Played a lot last season, but he has been kind of marginalized this year in his likely final season as a Met. 3-2 to Reyes with Jeff McNeil on deck, and Jose grounds one, backhanded by Castro, and Jose is retired. So that, if Mickey Callaway stays with his plan, is going to be it for Reyes.
Well, if he ends on what that's at bat, it'll hit the ball, hit a bullet, and that's going to be it. It looks like to me.
Gets the hug from the manager and his bench coach as well. And now the captain comes in for one more hug.
Well,
Jeff McNeil slashes one foul, and it's 0-2. So at age 35, Jose's got some decision making to make, whether he wants to give it one more shot next year or whether he will call it a career. McNeil fights one off. It's an interesting juxtaposition, isn't it? The way David Wright went out last night and the way Reyes, in a much more low-key fashion, goes out today.
no question. You know, I mentioned last night, it's really peculiar. Is it really an end of an era? I mean, David hadn't played for so long. Jose moved on to Miami, Toronto, but certainly they have put their stamp in Met history.
I think there's a punctuation on what was already the end of an era. You know what I mean? The era ended after, you know, David Wright played in the World Series in 2015, but they both came back. Reyes came back to the team last year. Wright came back for his curtain call last night, and now the Mets will send them both on their way. Off the glove of Alcantara, deflects to Castro. Nice bare hand play, and he throws him out. 1-4-3 put out for the second out. Nice play by Castro.
Very nice play by Castro. The veteran. A lot of guys out of the lineup for the Marlins, but then Castro's in. Realmuto not in the lineup.
No, but he's managing, Keith.
He's managing.
He's working hard today, Realmuto.
Rojas, Anderson, they're not in the lineup.
Here's Conforto, 2 for 10 in the series. And he takes a breaking ball for a strike.
Very nice bare hand. Perfectly done. I've had my share of being a veteran and sitting out. It was a 4-3. Sitting out the last day. It's a very relaxing day when you've played around 155 games. To sit out the last day.
Got your car packed and you're all ready to go. 1, 2, 3 inning. We go to the second inning, and Peter O'Brien leads off for the Marlins. And there are still some fans remembering last night's catch of a foul pop-up who are still booing Mr. O'Brien.
Residual boos.
David Wright said after the game, "I feel sorry for that guy, but I don't feel sorry for him." I thought that was pretty funny. And the good news is that O'Brien took it in good humor. He said, when you're a road player and you get booed, that's a good thing.
Yes.
Meanwhile, Syndergaard is throwing 10 pitches, 10 strikes to start his day. He's not messing around. 0-2 to O'Brien, and it's laced to center field, but right there is Jackson looking through the sunglasses to pick it off for the first out. Well, there's the change for the Mets. Ahmed Rosario coming in to play shortstop. Reyes took a little curtain call between innings after the fans realized that he was coming out of the game. They gave him a nice round of applause. Third all-time in games played in Mets history, behind Ed Kranepool and David Wright. And Lewis Brinson did not swing, so that goes in the books as the first ball thrown by Syndergaard today. Brinson 1 for 9 in the series. He would love to have a nice day and get over 200 for the year. He's at 198 heading into the season's final day. And he tops one to third. Frazier near the bag. The running toss in time to get Brinson for the second out. So 2 up and 2 set aside, and now Isaac Galloway will come up. The Marlins got shut out for 13 innings last night. Didn't score the last 2 innings on Friday, so they're now at 16 straight innings without a run. It's up to JT Realmuto to figure out how to get him a run. The manager for a day. He's just hoping that he doesn't mess up the way Martin Prado did 2 years ago when he had that job. Prado messed up a double switch and wound up in extra innings with Jeff Francoeur playing third base. And Francoeur said, "What are you doing?" He said, "Well,
I'm learning.
He said, I appreciate how hard the manager's job is. Hopefully it'll be easier for Realmuto today. Galloway goes around in the half swing, and it's 0-2. Galloway 1 for 4 in the series. It's a nice thing, particularly for those catchers, because, you know, so many of them become managers later in their lives. This gets them a head start. And the curveball fouled off. Syndergaard coming off 6 scoreless innings his last time out against the Braves. He has had 3 outstanding starts in his last 5. Complete game in San Francisco, 7 scoreless against the Red Sox, 6 scoreless against Atlanta. Another chance for Frazier at third, and across the diamond just in time to get the speedy Galloway, and another 1-2-3 inning for Noah Syndergaard as Jose Reyes bids farewell to Met fans after his final appearance in a Mets uniform. Jay Bruce leads off the home second. Well, there's the brain trust for the Marlins today. JT Realmuto on headset. He must be doing a TV interview in addition to managing. And Jose Urena right next to him looks like he's serving as the pitching coach today.
Pitching coach or bench coach?
I don't know, but he's got the charts. I would think the pitching coach, right, for Urena. Derek Dietrich moves from third base to second. Yadiel Rivera has come in to play third base. So I wonder if part of JT Realmuto's master plan today is to move Dietrich around to a bunch of different positions. I don't think he could play 9. There's ball 4, and Bruce is the Mets' first base runner of the day. Chance to check out the Mets Geico starting lineup. Reyes started, but he's now out of the game. And there's the rest of it. Tomas Nido catching Syndergaard, as he's been doing quite effectively lately.
And your cheap Marlin defense. So we've had a switch there, as Gary mentioned. Dietrich switches over to Segunda Base. Rivera comes into Tercera Base. O'Brien, the man that gets booed, is at first base.
You know, we could do the entire broadcast in Spanish, but I'd be limited to about 4 words. So, let's see, cambio.
Actually, it's Tercera, not Tricera. So excuse me.
Pelota.
Yes, pelotas. Líneas. Okie dokie. We're going to get.
Did we ever get to the pitcher? Sandy Alcantara making his 6th big league start today.
And there's just Land Rover numbers, Gary, and you see his 6th start, 3rd against the Mets this year. He's got a 1-0 record in those 2 starts. 1 no decision, of course. Too many walks, but he's got some good stuff. He's a diamond in the rough.
Yeah, the walks have certainly been much higher than they had hoped. Grounded down to third. Rivera just into the game. Throws out Frazier for the first out as Bruce goes to second. Yeah, but Alcantara came into the season as the Marlins' #1 prospect, and there's no reason to change that designation. He came over from the Cardinals in the trade for Marcell Ozuna, and they still have very high hopes for the 23-year-old. Here's Dominic Smith. Down at a pinch hit single in last night's game, 2 for 5 in this series. So let's see, the Dodgers are up 2-0 on the Giants. The Braves are down 1-0. For the Braves to have home field in the division series, they need to win and have both the Dodgers and Rockies lose. Rockies are up 2-0 on the Nats. The decision for the Nationals not to start Max Scherzer came from the very top of the Washington organization. Scherzer wanted to pitch. Mike Rizzo, the general manager, made the decision to shut him down. And obviously the Dodgers are happy about that, or are not happy about that. They would have loved to have seen Scherzer face the Rockies, but you know, when you play teams that are out of contention the last weekend of the season, they have to make decisions on what's best for them, not necessarily for the other teams in contention.
Nope. The Rockies are happy. They're the only ones happy.
But what ended up happening is both the Dodgers and the Rockies changed their pitching plans as well. The Rockies were going to go with Germán Marquez on short rest. He's been by far their best starter, along with Kyle Freeland coming down the stretch. But they decided to change to Tyler Anderson today. The Dodgers were going to start their fireballing youngster Walker Buehler, but they changed as well and went with the veteran Rich Hill. Well, the idea is that they have their better guys ready for a tiebreaker tomorrow, or if necessary for the wild card game on Tuesday.
Precisely. They're already basically in.
Well, in both cases, in both divisions, in both the Central and the West, the team that doesn't win the division will be a wild card. The Central winner will be the top seed. The Central loser will be the host for the wild card.
And there's significance to the Cubs and Milwaukee.
Right.
And they're up right now. Cardinals 2-0 early over the Cubs. That's the first inning. They struck 2 runs in the first, and Milwaukee came out quick with 1 run. So that's for the division. If one team wins, the other team loses.
Same deal as the West. Smith goes down on the changeup, so that's the first strikeout for Alcantara. Everybody playing at the same time, so there's no putting one in the bank and then waiting or anything like that.
This is one of the great ideas that Major League Baseball has decided upon.
They came up with this after the 2011 season, when we had that incredible final day of all sorts of twists and turns. Remember, Tampa Bay got in on the Longoria home run after what was it, somebody blew an enormous lead. Was it the Braves that day, and they got knocked out? There was a long rain delay in that Baltimore-Boston game.
Well, talk about your scoreboard watching.
Yeah, exactly. So everybody's up on the scoreboard all at the same time. 0-2 to Austin Jackson, who had the walk-off double last night at the bottom of the 13th, and they did score a double. We didn't find that out until this morning. And the Mets got off to the hot start this year, 11-1. But by the middle of April, they started to fade, had a bad May, and just a horrendous June. Treaded water for a couple of months, but they've played much better in September.
The June was the killer.
No, they just couldn't score all month.
Oh, they found different ways to lose too. That was the most incredible month I've ever witnessed. And was it third in Met history? Third worst? It was 62 had a month worse, and 65, something like that. Or am I incorrect?
There could not have been many months worse than that.
Gosh,
21.
It was just. I wanted to pull the hair out of my head. I'm sure the players did also. They're out there playing.
So basically they were buried from the middle of June on, and now it's just been a matter of trying to improve, and I think you can certainly note the improvements. The starting pitching has been spectacular coming down the last 2 months of the season. Oh, and the offense has been more diversified. Jackson strikes out, so Alcantara with back-to-back strikeouts to finish off the second. No score. Passing of our friend Dave Zarkauer, who worked in our truck as a tape operator, and his brother-in-law and his nephews are here today, and their sign honoring Dave was shown on the scoreboard, and his nephew could not be more pleased with that. That's just great. Folks connected with our broadcast miss Dave terribly. Chad Wallach leads off in the third inning. Wallach making his 13th start behind the plate for the Marlins. Put in the lineup by his today manager JT Realmuto, who may well have played his final game as a Marlin. A lot of talk in the Marlins clubhouse after the game last night. Realmuto doesn't know what his future holds, whether the Marlins plan to trade him or sign him or just let him go to arbitration. But he is certainly the most desirable piece if the Marlins don't feel as though they're close enough to contention where they want to just ride it out with him and let him walk away as a free agent. They could probably stock up on prospects in bulk if they were to trade Realmuto. 2-2 to Wallach. Certainly the Mets would be a very interested party if the Marlins had any desire to trade Realmuto.
It costs you an arm and a leg.
Sometimes you got to sacrifice limbs or whatever it takes. Syndergaard pitched on opening day for the Mets and pitching on closing day as well. 2-2 coming, and Wallach did not go around.
I thought he held up. Take a look here, Gare. No, he did not. What's your opinion, Gare? Yes, no?
I'm 50-50.
You know, you always side with the pitchers.
I said it was 50-50. That was a strike. Swung the bat. First strikeout of the day for Syndergaard. 1 out. Ronnie's not here. Someone's got to stick up for them. SNY Super Slow Motion is brought to you by your Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealers. Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing. The last lines of the season being laid. Here's Sandy Alcantara. Looking for his first big league hit. See, this is another wrinkle for Real Muto. He hit the pitcher 8th. He's really trying to make his mark. He's got Magneuris Sierra hitting 9th. He's on deck. And Syndergaard makes quick work of his opposite number. Back-to-back strikeouts for Noah to start the 3rd. The Marlins had not hit the pitcher 8th all year until just this last week. And they're doing it for the 3rd time in the last 7 games. Just right at the end of the season. Part of that is because they have Sierra, who profiles as a number 9 hitter. And he hits one on the ground to second. Grabbed by McNeil, and Syndergaard has faced the minimum over the first 3 innings. Middle of the 3rd on the final day of the season. No score. Ticket package today. Choose from full season, half season, or 20-game plans that include opening day and the Subway Series. Plus, for a limited time, receive an authentic or replica Mets jersey with your purchase. Current season ticket holders, a reminder to renew your plan by this Sunday to take advantage of a full array of Mets amazing perks. Purchase your plan today at Mets.com/ticket plans. Tomas Nido takes up and in for ball 1 as we start the bottom of the 3rd. Spectrum high-speed pitch. Ooh, Syndergaard got tied. That may be the first time all year that that's happened.
Alcantara has got a live arm.
Well, his control has obviously been spotty. It was in the minors, but even more so in his 5 big league starts so far. He's walked 1 today, and Nido goes around on the slider. It's 1-2. But the Marlins envision Alcantara being a top of the rotation kind of starter. If he can just harness his secondary pitches a little bit better. He's made strides in that regard this year in his age 23 season. Syndergaard on deck, and then Ahmed Rosario for the Mets in the 3rd. And Nido goes down swinging on the fastball. That's 3 strikeouts in a row for Alcantara. One down in the home third.
I wonder if these young pitchers realize what a powerful pitch when you throw as hard as Alcantara does. That fastball up and in, that just blew it right by Nito. I don't think they're aware of it.
Now Syndergaard, 5 hits this year. And he takes a fastball for a strike. That broke off.
Oh, the bat.
Right in his hand. How about that?
I've never seen that.
On a swing and miss, the bat breaks off right in his hand.
Oh my gosh.
That is a great feat of strength.
Check for termites.
I don't think it's the bat. I just think it's Noah. He's too powerful for this piece of lumber. Watch this.
He swings though.
He does, but it breaks off. I mean,
that bat had to be broken already.
I don't know. This is a very strong human being.
You think you've seen it all.
Wow. Jeez. And now he strikes out for the second out of the inning. Bat stays intact. But a big shake of the head by Noah, who's as puzzled as everybody else at what just happened. It's 4 strikeouts in a row for Alcantara. Now he's going to get Reyes till kingdom come now.
I mean, maybe he should go up there with McNeil's bat.
That one won't break.
I've never seen that.
Not at the handle.
I've never seen that.
David Wright's giving it to him now. Rosario up for the first time. Took over at short after Reyes took one at bat. Here it is one more time.
It broke before contact.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
he didn't make contact.
Oh, that's true. Forgive me.
And all the way it left is that little sliver in his hand. Rosario down on strikes. Alcantara strikes out the side of the third after 3. No score. Emerged from the Mets dugout with an American flag in hand to salute today's veteran of the game, Captain Heather Jelm, U.S. Army. One captain meeting another captain.
Nice.
And just one more chance for crowded Citi Field to show its love for David Wright. What a night last night.
Yes.
I don't think I've ever experienced anything quite like that, and I think few of us have. Just an outpouring of affection for a player who touched the heartstrings of this franchise, both with his play and with his personality for a decade and a half.
A well-deserved send-off for David, and also just a great job by the Met organization to put the whole thing together. Was just really, from top to bottom, was just first rate.
There were so many moments where you just couldn't help but choke back tears, whether it was with the moments with his family and with his teammates, the hugs with Jose Reyes, leaving the field for the final time, the incredible outpouring from the crowd showing its respect and affection. Riddle drives one out to right field, but Conforto's there to grab it.
Riddle's been right on Syndergaard his first 2 at bats.
Riddle, the only base runner for the Marlins so far, leadoff single in the first, and now he lines out in his second at bat. Now Yadiel Rivera bats for the first time. Starlin Castro started, came out after 1 at bat. So the Dodgers now have a 6-0 lead on the Giants in the 3rd inning. Giants have already pulled their starter Andrew Suarez, so pressure's now on the Rockies to try to match, and the Rockies are up 2-0 on the Nats in the 3rd.
Boy, the Giants are really reeling. They are going to have to just really reboot.
Well, they've got a lot of players who got older all at the same time. They fielded a very 30+ oriented team this year. Syndergaard strikes out Castro for the 2nd out. Or Rivera, excuse me. 2 out and nobody out. Let's go to Steve Gelb's report today is brought to you by Volkswagen. Steve.
Gary, you guys were just talking about David Wright and the emotions of last night. Certainly a huge and a very draining night for David Wright. But just one final capper, one final David Wright story that shouldn't surprise anybody who's heard the ones leading up to this past week. After the game, after his press conference, he stood in the clubhouse with about 30 reporters for about 10 minutes after just talking off the record, and then proceeded to stay at his locker and shake every single reporter's hand who was there covering the night, thanking them for the coverage last night and for all that they've done over the number of years that he's been here.
Well, you know what, Steve? It's your last day there, and you know there's times that David's been so accommodating to the press over his entire career here, and it's just basking in it. It's your last night and enjoying everything to its full extent. He's just such a gentleman.
Well, it's not very much different from what we experienced here when he visited us last night. I mean, he expressed very similar emotions, and you know, he said it was hard for him to understand why 44,000 people came out last night to greet him, because I think the humility is genuine.
Right. Yes.
And you know, the same goes for his interactions with the media. You know, so many players resent it. David, I think, enjoyed the byplay with all the media folk over the last 15 years.
And I'm sure enjoyed it very much last night.
Peter O'Brien takes a strike, and it's 2-1.
And you know, guys, from my perspective too, remember I came on full time in 2015, which was the year that he got diagnosed with spinal stenosis. Most players, especially players of that caliber that were going through what he went through that season and in the last number of years, wouldn't necessarily have been as accommodating. And he pretty much was the most accommodating player that I knew. You know, still, despite the fact that he was going through all of these difficult days, if you needed David, if he was around and you ever needed to talk with him, he never once turned me down. I never saw him turn anybody down.
Yep.
It's pretty remarkable if you're in these clubhouses to see how unique of a person he really was.
Brian just gets a piece of it. Well, even the location of his locker, right? His locker was right near the door where the media would walk in. Right. There's a door at the opposite end where the players can escape to their restricted areas where the media is not allowed to go. But David situated himself prominently in the spot where he was the most accessible, which I think is very telling. O'Brien pops one up, shallow center, long run in for Jackson, but he'll get there, and that retires the side. 4 scoreless innings for Syndergaard. David Wright. his night last night. What a cauldron of emotions. Home fourth inning, Jeff McNeil leads off against Sandy Alcantara in a scoreless game. That's looking for their first hit. McNeil hit one off Alcantara's glove, and Starlin Castro made a nice play on the deflection to throw him out in the first inning. And the breaking ball fouled off, 0-2. So in the NL Central, the Cubs are trailing the Cardinals 2-0 in the third, and the Brewers are up 2-0 on the Tigers in the third. Now, remember when the season began? There were supposed to be 3 dominant teams in the National League: the Nationals, the Cubs, and the Dodgers.
Right.
Okay, so the Nationals are out, and depending on what happens the rest of today, but it certainly may be trending that way, you could end up with a situation where the Cubs and Dodgers wind up playing in the wild card game against each other in a 1-game knockout.
In LA, correct?
In Cubs, Dodgers.
Oh, but
that's a good question.
that is a good question.
I don't know who won that season series. I know that if the Rockies and Dodgers play the tiebreaker tomorrow, that's in LA.
It is in Dodger Stadium. The Cubs.
Line sharply, base hit, and McNeil has the Mets' first hit of the day. Jeff McNeil, when this season ends, will have the highest batting average ever for a Mets rookie with at least 200 at bats. In fact, there have been only 2 Met rookies who've had at least 200 at bats who've hit over 300. Hubie Brooks did it in 1981, hit 307. Jose Reyes in 2003 hit 307. And McNeil is going to outstrip them. Came into the day hitting 326, and he just upped that with that base hit.
I remember Hubie Brooks's rookie season in that 300 year. He hit that ball down the right field line an awful lot. Hubie stayed real on top of the high fastball.
Verizon trivia question today: whom did the Mets select in the first round of the 2001 draft before David Wright? David was a supplemental first round pick, compensation for losing Mike Hampton as a free agent. Yeah, Hubie was a linchpin of the rebuilding Mets. course, went to Montreal in the Gary Carter trade.
What was his first year, rookie year?
81.
It's 81, and then 82 he regressed, and 83 he regressed. I think he got swept up in the the atmosphere, the dark years here. And I remember coming over in 84, and I said, Hubie, what are you doing up at the plate? I go, you remember your rookie year, how you used to go to right field? I go, you're stepping in the bucket now, you're flying out. I go, I'll tell you what, our Cardinals, our attack on you was throw you up and in the first at bat and then sliders away. I go, why don't you go back to what you did your rookie year? And Hubie had a terrific 84 year for us, 84 season. And of course, a part of the big trade for the final piece, Gary Carter.
And then wound up coming back to the Mets in the early 90s.
And went on to have good years in Montreal. Drove in, I believe in 85, he drove in 100 runs for Montreal.
Well, Hubie was a terrific player. Went to Montreal, then to the Dodgers. Drove in 100 runs in 85 that first year in Montreal.
And he played shortstop for Montreal, if you recall.
Yes, he did. Conforto goes down on the changeup, and that's 6 strikeouts now for Alcantara, who has already matched his career high with 6 today.
Hubie was one of my favorite teammates. Hadn't seen him in years. I saw him on the offseason in L.A. At a dinner for scouting for scouts, and why I was there I don't know, but I ran into Hubie. I hadn't seen him in so long. One of my good buddies.
Here's Jay Bruce, who walked his first time up. Who else was in that trade? Mike Fitzgerald was in that trade.
Yeomans, right?
Floyd Yeomans, right?
So they got two pretty good pieces.
Oh, and Herm Winningham.
Yep. It's a 4-for-1, right?
Yeah. It was worth it.
Oh yes.
Bruce hits one in the air to right. Sierra eases back and makes the catch, and that's the second out. So 2 away, and now Frazier grounded out his first time up. Mets ended the regular season on the road each of the last 2 years. 2 years ago, if you remember, they finished in Philly. They clinched the wild card berth on the Saturday, and then that made the Sunday game meaningless, and the Mets lost that. And they also finished the year in Philadelphia last year and finished with a loss. However, the Mets have won their last Citi Field game each of the last 7 years, and trying to do that again today. Either way, this will be an improvement over last year. The Mets won 70 games last year. They've won 76 heading into the final day today. Far less than they had hoped, but with a good September, at least a step in the right direction as they try and rebuild for 2019 under new front office leadership.
I think all in all, a better second half. Really, you do a couple games over 500 the last 3 months. You know, you talked about the powerhouses going into the year with the Nats, the Dodgers, the Cubs. Everybody was very wary of Milwaukee. They made a lot of great acquisitions in the offseason to put them in this position they're in right now.
Well, certainly the deal they made with the Marlins turns out to be the most important one of all, getting Christian Yelich, who certainly looks like the front runner for the MVP and has an outside shot of winning the Triple Crown. Leads in batting, tied for the league lead in home runs, only 2 behind Javi Baez for the RBI lead. And keep in mind, if there are tiebreakers tomorrow, those tiebreakers count in the regular season stats. So you could get a situation where Yelich might get another crack at enhancing those numbers tomorrow.
He came into today, Blackman, you said just scored a run today, but he was tied with Blackman for league lead in runs. Total bases leader. slugging percentage, 599 slugging percentage. My goodness.
And he's been even better in September. The September numbers for Yelich coming into today: 360, 10 home runs, 33 RBIs, and an OPS of 1326, which is just off the charts.
Left-hand hitter, hit 327 this year coming in against lefties. 323 against righties. That's a league lead. Hit 323 with runners in scoring position. Just a phenomenal season.
And he has led the Brewers to 6 straight wins heading into this afternoon, and they're up 2-0 while the Cubs are trailing 2-0, both those games in the third. So Milwaukee might have a chance to win the division outright. McNeil back to the bag. McNeil stole a base in the game last night. Frazier golfs one in the air along the right field line. Any chance for anybody? O'Brien can't get there. See this one, he doesn't catch. The fans immediately recognize the irony of that. The one they didn't want him to catch really was the one last night. Rockies are now up 4-0 on the Nationals. Charlie Blackmon a 2-run homer, and the Dodgers are now up 9-0 on the Giants in the third. So there's looking very much as though there will be a tiebreaker tomorrow in LA. Frazier pops this one up, heading back toward the crowd, and that'll go out of play. And now a quick message from your Tri-State Porsche dealer. By the way, Brandon Nimmo is going to have an MRI on his hamstring on Tuesday after having what he said felt like a knife attack his hamstring last night as he rounded first. Frazier lines one to left, and Galloway misplays it, and it goes over his head. McNeil to third. He's being waved around. The relay thrown to the plate by Riddle, not in time. Throw to third, and Frazier will be tagged out to end the inning, but the Mets grab the lead. Todd Frazier with a bullet to left. Galloway misplays it into a double, and the Mets grab the first run of the day on Frazier's RBI double. 1-0 Mets after 4. Has a 1-0 lead as we go to the 5th inning on the Todd Frazier RBI double. Lewis Brinson leads off for the Marlins. Just 40 pitches through 4 innings for Syndergaard. Brinson grounded out his first time up and takes a first pitch slider for a strike. Brinson, Galloway, and Wallach for Miami in the 5th. Tapper, easy for Syndergaard. 1 out. Let's go. Let's check out the Ford leaderboard. Starters ERA. Mets have really moved up on that list as the year has gone along. Mets starters have the best ERA in baseball over the last 2 months, and 4th in the National League now for the season. Here's Galloway, who grounded out his first time up. So Galloway let that ball sail over his head and left, and as he flung the ball in, it was actually the second baseman Dietrich who somehow got to that throw and wound up throwing the ball home, and then they got the out at third base.
Well, Dietrich was playing on the shift, so he was on the left side of the infield. The Marlins did a lot of things wrong there. A, Galloway misplayed the ball off the wall. B, he made a horrible throw in, a rainbow in, and Riddle, the shortstop, didn't line him up properly. He was more lined up towards a throw to the mound, as opposed to lining him up to throw home. And really, Dietrich was heads up getting over there to make the play.
They didn't get the out at the plate, but they did get Frazier at third. So 7-4-2-5 on that play. Frazier handles the ground ball and throws out Galloway, and that's the second out. So 2 out and nobody on. Chad Wallach coming up. Well, there are some of the bright spots for the Mets this year. Certainly, you start with DeGrom and Wheeler at the head of that rotation. Both have been just lights out. DeGrom all year, and Wheeler really the last 4 months.
Well, the one that really sticks out to me is Zach Wheeler. Just a complete turnaround. And you're talking around 20 starts. And it all began June 1st on that start, and that's when it happened. And he became really a consistent, dominant pitcher.
Curveball misses to Wallach, and it's 1-1. Wallach struck out his first time up. One of 3 strikeouts for Noah today. He has been the master of getting quick outs today. Often happens the final day of the season. And Wallach finds a hole. Nobody playing in that spot, and Wallach's got the Marlins' 3rd hit. Well, speaking of Mets starting pitchers, there was much to watch and much to savor this year, starting with the probable Cy Young Award winner, through the power of Syndergaard and Wheeler. And Steven Matz finished the season well, as did Jason Vargas. Here's the pitcher Alcantara, grinding one to Bruce. Plenty of time to recover, and that retires the side. Another quick inning for Noah Syndergaard. Took him just 9 pitches. 1-0 halfway through. Don't miss your chance to host your one-of-a-kind event here at Citi Field this winter. For more information, visit Mets.com/holiday party. SNY Super Slow Motion is brought to you by your Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealers. Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing. Another legend of the game presented by Budweiser, the legendary lager for legendary moments. Well, the year began on a sad note. Remember, Rusty passed away on opening day.
Yes, he did.
And now here we are 6 months later celebrating Rusty's legacy.
2,716 hits. And folks, he loved New York so much in his restaurant. I asked him, I said, Rusty, why didn't you just go to the American League and DH? You would have had 3,000 hits in the Hall of Fame. And he just said, I love cooking. I love my restaurant, and I love New York City. I didn't want to go and play somewhere else again.
Dominic Smith rolls over one. Dietrich comes in for the glove flip and handled by O'Brien for the first out. Well, those 2,716 hits were distributed quite nicely in that he's the only player in Major League history, Rusty, to have at least 500 hits for 4 different teams. For the Astros, then the Expos, then the Mets, and then the Tigers.
And he also played with the Rangers.
Played with Texas, yeah.
And he broke in 1963, folks, when he was 19 years old with the Finn Houston Colt 45s.
Colt 45s, who existed long enough ago that their uniform jersey had a gun as its logo.
With smoking gun.
Yes.
And it was a Colt 45.
Yes.
With the cylinder in it.
Austin Jackson struck out his first time up. One of 6 strikeouts for Sandy Alcantara, who's already matched his career high with the 6 strikeouts. And he gets the breaking ball over for a strike, and it's 1-2. Six strikeouts for Alcantara. Only 2 hits allowed, and that's in keeping with the way baseball's been played this year. This will wind up being the first year in Major League history in which there are more strikeouts than hits. Coming into the day, there were about 127 more strikeouts than hits across Major League Baseball. As recently as 10 years ago, there were 11,000 more hits than strikeouts, and now more strikeouts than hits. And there's another one. Jackson is the 7th victim for Alcantara. That's a new career high. Join Jonas Schwartz, Ray Lucas, Willie Colon, Bart Scott, and Janae Coakley for a complete Jets-Jaguars game breakdown, player reactions, and Todd Bowles' post-game comments on Jets Post-Game Live, presented by Toyota today after the Mets post-game, only on SNY. Well, the Cubs have come back to tie the Cardinals 2-2. Milwaukee's still up 2-0 on Detroit. Tomas Nido pops one foul. Ben Zobrist tripled in a run after Daniel Murphy had driven in the first run against the fine Cardinal rookie Jack Flaherty. Nito reaches to the fastball and fouls it back. 2-2. Let's answer our Verizon trivia question. Whom did the Mets select in the first round of the 2001 draft before David Wright? Aaron Howman out of Notre Dame.
With the signature changeup.
Mets could never figure out whether it was a starter or a reliever. Wound up having some really good times as a reliever, but will always be remembered for that one pitch. Game 7, 2006.
That could have been Rick Aguilera, ball 4 to Nito right there to give up the home run to Henderson.
Sure.
In the 7th game, but we came back.
That's really true. I mean, who even thinks about that, right? That Dave Henderson hit the home run off Aguilera, which could have won the World Series for the Red Sox.
Yes. And you know, well, we're going to show you this remarkable, very odd swing right there.
Feat of strength. Man who can break a bat by just swinging it.
The Thor hammer broke at the hammer at the handle. And everybody forgets too in Game 6 in '86. Everybody remembers Roger McDowell, but Rick Aguilera came in relief in that game, I think, and pitched pitched strongly for us, if I remember correctly.
Which game are we talking about now?
Was it 6, the final game?
Against the Astros.
Astros.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Everybody remembers Roger. Roger left it right there in the dome. He went about all those, what, 5+ innings or whatever of shutout ball.
Syndergaard lifts one foul. Yeah, it's funny the things that get lost to history.
Yeah.
Whereas you tend to focus on that one moment. You forget about some of the things that led up to it. In 1960, everybody remembers Bill Mazeroski hitting the game-winning home run off Ralph Terry in Game 7. But they don't remember that Hal Smith had hit the go-ahead home run in the 8th inning for the Pirates, and he would have been the hero, except the Yankees tied it in the top of the 9th, and that necessitated Mazeroski's heroics. Syndergaard lines one the other way for a base hit. Nito pulls in at second. Noah's got his 6th hit of the year, and the Mets have 2 on.
And the Mets, as I've stated all year long, have, I think, the best hitters in their starting rotation. Everyone is a threat up there. Nice hitting, Noah. Got a big strike zone.
Well, at least his bat stayed intact this time. So 2 out and 2 on. Now Rosario up for the 2nd time. Ahmed struck out his first at bat. He makes that one foul.
There's the screens now that are up that prevent those balls from going into striking a fan.
Jesus Aguilar just homered for Milwaukee. They're now up 3-0 on Detroit as they go to the 5th. Rosario bounces one down to 3rd, and Rivera steps on the bag for the force that retires the side. After 5, 1-0 New York. History, 1962, September 30th. The Mets lost their 120th game when Felix Mantilla hit into a fielder's choice, forcing Frank Thomas at second against the Cubs' Bob Buell at Wrigley Field. Cubs won the game 5-1. Casey Stengel's expansion Mets finished with 40 wins, 120 losses, 2 games, fortunately postponed by weather.
What a year.
Nobody's equaled 120 yet. The 2003 Tigers came the closest. They lost 119 and had a really good final week to avoid 120. The Baltimore Orioles come into today with 115 losses, so they looked like for a while that they were going to catch the 62 Mets, but they won't. Magneuris Sierra leads off for the Marlins in the 6th inning against Noah Syndergaard. He drops down a bunt. Noah on it quickly, and he gets Sierra by a stride. 1 pitch and 1 out. Let's check in with the studio. Gary Apple has a game break brought to you by your Tri-Honda dealers. Gary. All right, Gary. So if they both win, and they're both leading now, there will be a 1-game tiebreaker tomorrow at Wrigley Field to determine who wins the division and who drops into the wild card. Same deal with the Dodgers and the Rockies, and both of them are winning substantially right now. Dodgers are up 12-0 on the Giants in the 4th. The Rockies are up 4-0 on the Nationals in the 5th. If they have a tiebreaker, that'll be tomorrow at Dodger Stadium. JT Riddle is 1 for 2. He had a base hit to center in the 1st, lined out to right in the 4th. Syndergaard has been operating on a minimum of pitches. Took him just 49 pitches to get through 5. Noah had a complete game not long ago at AT&T Park in San Francisco. He threw 114 pitches in 9 innings. He's on a much faster pace so far today. Riddle takes the changeup down 1-2. With Syndergaard's 5 scoreless innings today, Mets starters over the last 6 games have now given up 1 run in 36 innings. And one was against Corey Oswalt here on Friday. Get down to first. 1 hopper grab by Bruce. Riddle retired 2 out.
Jay Bruce has acquitted himself nicely at first base. I don't feel that he is at all a liability over there. I talked to him yesterday, as a matter of fact. I got to the park early, and he said he played a lot of first base in high school, so it's not an unfamiliar position, and it makes sense. I always worry about an outfielder coming to the infield because they've never fielded ground balls. But Jay has already had that experience. He said the one thing is that the ball gets on you quicker. And I said, I know, you got to be prepared. That glove's got to be down, particularly when you're holding a runner on first.
So did you have any particular counsel for him about anything that he needs to work on as he gets ready for next year and perhaps more full-time duty there?
I told him that his footwork was fine. He's fielding the ground balls. It's fine. He's got good hands. I just said, know where you're going to have to be as far, because you're an outfielder. You know, ball's hitting the gap, you're running after the ball. All the other infielders got places to go,
right,
and you're not used to it. I go, know where you have to be on every situation. Always tell yourself, runners on first and second, 1 out. What am I going to do with the ball in either gap, down the lines? Where do I belong? So it's already wrote in your mind where to go, and learn. That's the fundamentals of your position. And the other strike 3 right there real quickly. I said, what I just said, you keep your glove down to the ground, particularly when you're holding the runners on.
1-2-3 inning for Syndergaard is making it look easy so far today. He's got a 1-0 lead in the 6th. Jeff McNeil leads off the home 6th inning. McNeil rifles one. He's got his second hit of the day. So McNeil, who singled and scored the only run of this game in the 4th, is aboard to lead off in the bottom of the 6th.
Good to see him swinging the bat a little better. Had a little bit of a, I'm not going to call it a slump, but he just was struggling a little bit for a while. Not looking the same. Here he is ripping that ball. 2 line shots to right center field today.
74 hits now for McNeil, who didn't come up until late July. Michael Conforto's 0 for 2. Let's check in with Steve Gelb. Steve.
Gary had an extensive conversation with Conforto the other day just about his season, and while he didn't regret pushing himself to come back so early, he did say essentially that he probably underestimated how difficult it was going to be to get back, but now feels really happy about the work he's done to get to where he wants to be at the plate. What was really intriguing, though, was when we asked about just what type of a player, what type of a caliber of player he expects to be down the road. And he said he thinks he should be in the conversation as an MVP player, as a batting champion one day. And he thinks going into this offseason, that is now his mentality. He's healthy, and he's going to work to be one of the best in the game going into next year.
Well, basically what he wants to be is the Mets version of Christian Yelich and what he's doing for Milwaukee this year. He's perfectly capable of being that guy.
Yes, he is. I've always loved the swing. He's
a little flare behind third, and Rivera goes back to get it. 1 out.
He needs to. He made little strides on the breaking ball, the off-speed breaking ball. He needs to learn to hit the off-speed pitches, and you know it'll come. He's got too good a swing. He just needs to use the whole field. There's not a ballpark in the league, in Major League Baseball, that can hold him in the opposite field. He's so strong. No need to pull.
Jay Bruce has walked and flied out. The Cubs added another run in that bottom of the 3rd. Jason Hayward drove it home, so it's now Cubs 4, Cardinals 2 as they go to the 4th. There's some of the positives on the offense this year. Brandon Nimmo finishes over 400 with his on-base percentage. First Met to do that since David Wright 11 years ago. Michael Conforto, the tremendous second half. And of course Jeff McNeil, who has come out of nowhere to be a big piece of the future for the Mets. Bruce pops one up. Dietrich goes out, gives way to Sierra, and that's the second out. So 2 out, and now Todd Frazier. And I think this is going to be one of the big Met question marks going into next year. You know, Todd is signed for next year. They gave him a 2-year deal. He has certainly not performed as well as either the Mets or he had hoped this year. He's been on the disabled list a couple of times, which had never happened to him before. So the question is, do you discount this year and say that you should get better production out of Frazier next year, or do you look to fill that position next year despite the fact that Todd is signed for next season?
I think you can, if you get another bat in the lineup, a right-handed bat, whether it's a catcher or a corner outfielder, Gary, you can keep Todd because he's a threat up there. He's a veteran hitter. I mean, look at his career numbers. He's a guy that hits home runs. He's not an average hitter. This is what he is. Although this 214 is far lower. Usually hits 230, but he gives you a good glove at third base. It doesn't hurt you defensively at all. It's a positive, and with a good pitching staff, you need gloves out there, so you can run with Frazier.
Alcantara's got his 8th strikeout of the day. We head to the 7th with the Mets up 1-0. Seventh inning, Noah Syndergaard's thrown just 58 pitches through 6 innings, 9 balls and 49 strikes. And there's his 10th ball. 0-1 to Dietrich as we start the 7th. That's Santana-esque, that kind of ball strike ratio. But he's just been pouring them in. He's only given up 3 hits today. Dietrich rolls one down to Bruce, who's had a busy day. That is his 4th unassisted putout of the game. 1 out and nobody on. Let's check in with Gary Apple for another game break. Gary. How about the heat coming off David Dahl? 6 home runs in his last 7 games. As the Rockies plow their way through these final weeks. They stumbled yesterday as Strasburg shut them down and the Nats beat them, but if they win today, that'll be 9 of their last 10, reminiscent of that 2007 season when they stormed their way all the way to the World Series. Half a swing by O'Brien and he went around and it's 1-1. O'Brien's lined out to center and fly to center 0 for 2. Well, it's certainly appearing as though there's going to be a tiebreaker in the National League West tomorrow, with the Dodgers up 14-0 and the Rockies up 7-0. So you would presume that the Dodgers would roll out Walker Buehler for that game and the Rockies would go with Germán Marquez, but you can't be certain, because whoever loses that game then has to play the wild card game the next day, Tuesday.
Yep.
And on the road to boot. The host for the wild card game in the National League will be whoever doesn't win the Central, either the Cubs or the Brewers, because they will have the better record. The team that wins the Central will have the best record in the league and will host the wild card winner on Thursday in the division series. Bryan lifts one to shallow right and Fordo comes on. 2 out. The Braves, meanwhile, it would appear, are going to have to go on the road for the division series on Thursday to either Colorado or Los Angeles. In order for the Braves to have gotten home field, they were going to have to win today and have both the Dodgers and Rockies lose, and it doesn't look like there's a shade of possibility for that to happen. Here's Brinson, who's 0 for 2. He's grounded out both times. And Syndergaard with a knee-high fastball for a strike. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Jim Beam, the official bourbon of the New York Mets. Syndergaard has been just spectacular today without a whole lot of strikeouts. It's a good slider and it's 0-2. He's been ahead of everybody, 0-2 it has seemed. That's why he's throwing so few pitches. He's only struck out 4 today. And Brinson lines one to center. Jackson will have to play it on a hop. And Brinson's got himself a 2-out hit.
A little bloop off the end of the bat.
4th hit of the day against Syndergaard. So Brinson, the tying run, is on with 2 out.
Off the end of the bat, really fooled him with that breaking ball. And sometimes it's better to be lucky than good.
Isn't it always better to be lucky than good?
No, because your luck will run out.
So you're saying if you're lucky, sometimes that could be bad lucky.
Just take it when you can get it.
SNY's NFL insider Ralph Vacchiano will have instant analysis of today's Jets-Jaguars game, plus all the post-game reaction and comments on SNY.TV, your online home of all things New York sports. Galloway's grounded out to third base in both his at-bats today, and he takes a fastball for a strike. We've been chronicling the games of import as far as the postseason are concerned, but there are other things going on around baseball on this final day. For instance, Joe Mauer, playing at home in Minnesota, has gotten numerous standing ovations, as there is hinting that he may be retiring after this year. Grounded down to third and foul. Frazier makes the throw, but it was a foul ball. And Jay Bruce just ran off the field thinking that the third out had been made, went into the dugout, and now has been informed that the inning is still going on.
Conforto also was running in.
I mean, the third base umpire clearly signaled foul ball.
Yes.
But, you know.
It's
the
last game of the season, Jake.
Bats are breaking in people's hands. Guys are running off the field with 2 outs. 0-2 to Galloway. And that's it toward the middle of the diamond. McNeil flashes over to get it and throws out Galloway to end the inning. Nice range to his right by McNeil, and that gets Syndergaard through his 7th scoreless inning. So now it's the third out. You can stay there, Jay. This was the false alarm a moment ago. Third out. Oh, no. It was a foul ball. Go back out, finish the inning, Jay. Marlins nothing. If you were with us last night when David Wright joined us in the booth, David said that Keith had said one of the nicest things he'd ever heard about himself. That was Keith saying that he could play for the 1986 Mets. And we thought we'd show you the 6 degrees of separation between David Wright and the 86 Mets. Okay, Ray Knight was the World Series MVP in 1986. Ray Knight signed with the Orioles, and the Mets received a compensation pick. With that pick, the Mets drafted Todd Hundley. When they traded Todd Hundley to the Dodgers in 1998, they got Roger Cedeno. They traded Roger Cedeno to the Astros to get Mike Hampton. And after Hampton left as a free agent, the Mets got a compensation pick with which they drafted the Hickory High School product, David Wright.
How about that?
6 degrees of Kevin Bacon or David Wright or Ray Knight or as you would. That's the connection between David and the 86 Mets.
That is amazing how in this game everybody is intertwined.
Well, here's the way I look at it. We have the Denver school system to thank for David Wright. Because if you'll remember, when Mike Hampton decided to leave New York and sign with Colorado, he said it was because of the Denver school system.
Okay.
If not for those great Denver schools, last night never would have happened. Dominic Smith flies one out to left, and Isaac Galloway is there to grab it. 1 pitch and 1 out for Sandy Alcantara in the bottom of the 7th. So 1 out and nobody on. Now Austin Jackson, who's 0 for 2, been up twice, struck out twice. Well, we had a 1-0 game last night that took 13 innings to decide. It's the first 1-0 game of that length for the Mets since 2006, when they played a similar game against the Diamondbacks. And here we are in another 1-0 game on the final day, as the Mets starting pitching just finishes with an absolute flourish. 1 run allowed in the last 38 innings by the Mets starters. Pulled just foul. And there's no reason why Syndergaard can't have his sights set on finishing this game. He's thrown only 71 pitches through 7 innings. There's the Mets box score, brought to you by Jim Beam. Jeff McNeil with 2 hits. Todd Frazier the RBI double for the game's only run. Syndergaard has chipped in a hit as well. And Jackson strikes out for the 3rd time, and that's 9 strikeouts for Alcantara as he continues to extend his career high.
High fastball.
So 2 out and nobody on. Now Tomas Nido is struck out and walked. And Alcantara quickly up 0-2, and now a quick message from Citi.
Think fast.
And Nido out on strikes. 10 strikeouts for Alcantara, which matches the Marlins season high this year. After 7, Syndergaard will go back to the mound for the 8th with a 1-0 lead. To draft a perfect date Don't miss an all-new episode of Prospects presented by Bowmore Lanes tonight at 8 p.m. right here on SNY. Noah Syndergaard finishing his season with a flourish. Look at the pitch count. He has not thrown more than 13 pitches in any inning. He's thrown only 12 balls and 59 strikes through the first 7 innings. I know it's the last day of the season and teams tend to swing quickly, but he has filled the strike zone all afternoon long.
He's going for his 13th win in his 25th start. 32 starts in a year. He missed, what, 7 starts. To be 13-4 would be outstanding.
Chad Wallach leads off the 8th inning. Wallach has one of the 4 hits for the Marlins, a single to center in the 5th. Mets have had only 2 complete games this season. DeGrom against the Phillies on August 18th and Syndergaard against the Giants in San Francisco on September 2nd. And he is certainly on that track today. And quickly ahead on Wallach with a slider, 0-2.
Yeah, he's got his rhythm.
Well,
smooth sailing.
Until a few weeks ago, he said that he had not dominated the way he wanted to. Well, we have seen the domination coming down the stretch from Noah. And he takes care of Wallach, whose bat goes flying toward Freddie Gonzalez, his third base coach. And that is strikeout number 5 for Syndergaard.
Oops. I can honestly say that that never happened to me.
Really?
Because I didn't wear gloves.
Rafael Ortega will bat for Alcantara.
There's Ed Coleman down there on our left. Al?
And Al says,
Al,
yeah, what do you want me to do about it?
Well, Al, I just thought I'd give him a different angle to shoot.
Resplendent in his gray blazer. Very nice.
Ed. There he is, looking good.
Ortega rifles one down the line, and that's a foul ball. Just missed, being an extra base hit. It's awfully close. Ortega thought he hit it fair, and the Marlins are thinking about challenging this. With the naked eye, it looked fair from here, but the first base umpire Mike McClinsky called it foul. Let's see. Might have gotten the edge of the chalk. Can't tell from there. And they're waiting to see if the Marlins want to challenge. Let's see. What do you think?
I think it's foul.
Well, they apparently aren't going to challenge. So we have what I would imagine will be our final challenge of the season.
For us, anyway.
Yeah. So let me ask you while we're waiting for them to decide on this. Keith, what are you doing tomorrow?
I am going to get up in the morning whenever I get up. I'm going to make coffee. I'm going to go out with Haji, get the morning paper. I may take a little drive into town. I'm not sure. But I know one thing. At 1:30, 1 o'clock, when I have to start getting my, which is our dinner, basically, I am not going to have to do that. And at 2 o'clock, 2:30, guess what? I am not going to have to get in my car and drive 90 miles to the ballpark. And my favorite time of day has always been 5 o'clock to sunset. And I'm going to enjoy a nice sunset.
I think that sounds like a lovely day, Keith. And then what about the day after that?
Well,
well, let's see. The ball disappears behind the umpire, and the umpire is looking right at it. we can't see, and that's the most definitive shot that we would have had, except that the umpire's in the way. So unless there's another shot, which we don't believe exists, there's no way you can possibly overturn it, is there?
No.
I mean, all the side views we've had appear to be inconclusive. Well, here's some of the more esoteric activities they will be engaging in. Ronnie, of course, will be continuing to work.
Right. Take that golf club out of my guy. It's very good, left-handed too. You got it right.
By the way, the next fish I catch will be the first. I just want to make that clear. But I like the fishing hat. I think that looks it's very spiffy. But I like your hat too. It's a lovely little golfing hat, and they do confirm that it was a foul ball. So another 2 minutes of our life that we could have devoted to those off-season activities just have to wait. So Ortega back at the plate with an 0-2 count, and Syndergaard, having had to stand around for a few minutes, will try and rev it back up. Ortega batting for Alcantara. Tyler Kinley is up in the bullpen for Miami. And Syndergaard misses high with the fastball. 1-2. Magneuris Sierra is on deck for Miami. One-two coming, and that one in the dirt. 2-2. We were talking before about other things that are going around on the final day of baseball. So you got Joe Mauer, who might retire in Minnesota. You've got Adrian Beltre, future Hall of Famer, who also appears headed toward retirement. He's playing in Seattle today, where he used to play, and he's gotten thunderous ovations, with the folks up there recognizing that it may be Beltre's last game. That's hit sharply, but right at McNeil, and that's the second out. Also, the Chicago White Sox have lost 99 games. The White Sox haven't lost 100 since 1970. They're down 5-2 in Minnesota today, so that streak could end. The White Sox also yesterday set the major league record for most strikeouts in a season, which was set all the way back in 2017 by the Brewers, approaching 1,600 strikeouts for the Southsiders. Here's Sierra, and he takes low ball one. Also yesterday, it appears that Blake Snell might have clinched the American League Cy Young. 5 scoreless innings. He finishes 21-5, 1.89.
What a year.
Now, some are making the argument for Justin Verlander, whose ERA is like 0.6 of a run higher, and because he has more strikeouts and more innings pitched. But I don't see the argument.
I don't see the argument at all. You got a guy that, even though Tampa Bay had a good season, they're gonna win today. They win 90 if they win today. Who would have thought that?
To me, as a starter, as long as you have enough innings to qualify for the ERA title, that's it over the bag, and that's a fair ball for Sierra. That goes down the line up against the sidewall. Smith gets it in too late, and Sierra's got a 2-out double, and that is the 5th hit for the Marlins against Syndergaard, and the first time all day they've gotten a runner to second base. Just the 3rd extra base hit of the season for Sierra in 147 at bats.
I don't have.
You need Snell's innings pitched.
I don't have the American Leaguers here. Let me get there.
Snell's got 181 innings pitched.
Okay.
Which, you only need 162 to qualify. So, I mean, the argument that because Verlander's thrown, what, 35 more innings, 34 more innings, that he should be the Cy Young, even though his ERA is 0.6 of a run higher. I don't really buy that. JT Riddle is 1 for 3 at a base hit back in the first. So the tying run at second with 2 out. Riddle takes slider for a strike, 1-1.
Yeah, you're talking 1.89 compared to 2.52.
Yeah.
16 wins for Verlander, 21 for Snell. I mean, you've got Kluber coming. I think you can make a stronger case for Kluber with 20 wins. I know the wins aren't important, but I think they are. If you're a 20-game winner, you're a 20-game winner. And in today's game, that is so much more difficult to win 20 games. I mean, you've really got to be spot on, doggone good to win 20 games in today's. You only get 32 starts. Used to be 36. There's 4 less starts. You got the bullpens.
I think wins still matter, but they obviously matter a lot less to most of the people voting on the awards. I think you could use that as a tiebreaker, but I think Snell's in the same position to me that DeGrom is in. To me, he's a surefire winner, or he should be. Geico Sports Night at 11 o'clock tonight. Major League Baseball regular season may come to an end, but it looks like it won't. There'll be tiebreakers tomorrow, it would appear, and they'll talk more about the awards. Get you all set on the football too. Geico Sports Night tonight at 11, only on SNY. Syndergaard trying to put this 8th inning to bed. 1-2 to Riddle, and he struck him out. Strikeout number 6 for Syndergaard. He's through 8 scoreless innings with a 1-0 lead. And Noah Syndergaard is going to take the turn at bat. So Noah will get a chance at his 2nd complete game this month after not completing a game for his entire career before this month. Tyler Kinley is the new Miami pitcher, and he fires a fastball low for ball 1. Kinley getting his first taste. Started out the year with the Twins and picked up by the Marlins. Now making his 9th appearance for Miami. Syndergaard on a base hit in the 5th inning, his 6th hit of the season. Noah has thrown 87 pitches through 8 innings, so he is certainly primed to try and finish this one off, maybe even in Maddox style, trying to keep His pitch count below 100. He has never had a major league shutout. His only complete game. He allowed a run in San Francisco. And Syndergaard strikes out for the first out in the bottom of the 8th. So 1 out and nobody on. Here's Ahmed Rosario, who's had 2 at bats in this game. Didn't start the game. Jose Reyes did. Took 1 at bat and then was taken out. Got a nice curtain call from the fans. And Rosario took over after what will probably be Reyes' final appearance as a Met. Rosario is struck out and hit into a force play. So if the Mets take a 1-0 lead into the 9th, they'll be trying to do something that the Mets have not done in almost 50 years. September 12th, 1969, the Mets played a doubleheader with the Pirates, and they won each game 1-0. The Mets have not won back-to-back 1-0 games since then. Grounded down to third. And Rivera throws out Rosario, 2 out. After conquering baseball and broadcasting, Keith and Ron decide to branch out and take on the rest of the entertainment establishment on an all-new episode of the SNY.TV digital series, The Amazing Life, presented by Coca-Cola. Watch it now at SNY.TV/Coca-Cola.
I forgot to use my Just for Men in that spot.
Here's Jeff McNeil, who has 2 hits today and has scored the game's only run. And he pops one up in foul ground. And Rivera gets to it, and that retires the side. Syndergaard heads out looking for a complete game in the year's final game. Looking for his first ever complete game shutout. Just 87 pitches through 8 innings. No walks, 6 strikeouts. Statcast AI powered by Amazon Web Services. Christopher Bostic will bat for Yadiel Rivera, leading off in the 9th inning. The last complete game shutout for the Mets It was 2 years ago, July 17, 2016. Jacob deGrom threw a shutout against the Phillies. Mets have had 2 complete games this year, one for deGrom, one for Syndergaard, but neither one was a shutout. Ball and a strike to Bostic. So Syndergaard trying to go a place he's never been before. Trying to finish out the season with an exclamation point. And he picks off the outside corner. 1-2 to Bostic. Derek Dietrich on deck, and then Peter O'Brien for the Marlins in the ninth.
He painted the corner. Oh, I still say it was a strike.
Ryan Blakeney gives him the strike call. 1-2 coming. And slider off the plate. 2-2. Noah's only struck out 6 today. He's gotten a lot of quick outs. He has thrown an abundance of strikes. 73 of his 91 pitches have been strikes. 2-2 to Bostic. Little tapper. Noah handles that. 1 out. Let's check in with the studio. Gary Apple's got a trio with him today for the day's final post game. Gary. Derek Dietrich, the batter, with 1 out. Dietrich's gone 1 for 3 today. And Syndergaard starts him with a changeup low for ball 1. Well, Noah threw 6 scoreless innings in his last start against the Braves. 8 1/3 scoreless today. And starting pitchers showing throughout September what is possible. The Mets 17-10 in September coming into this final day, and the starting pitching has been simply brilliant, the best in baseball. And Dietrich takes it outside, and that is the second 3-ball count that Syndergaard has run all day.
Well, he knows that Dietrich is the one hitter that's got some pop, and a veteran hitter that can one swing can blow this shutout in his win.
Picks off the inside corner, and it's 3-1. To Dietrich with O'Brien on deck, and Dietrich shoots one. Nice play by Frazier on the backhand, and he throws him out. 2 men down. That looked like a double off the bat, but Frazier swinging to the backhand to take a base hit away from Dietrich, and the Marlins are down to their final out.
What a nice play right there, boy. Up hop too. Fine backhand.
So Peter O'Brien, all that stands between Noah Syndergaard and his first career shutout. O'Brien's 0 for 3 today. And he takes a curveball for a strike, 0-1. Slider off the plate, a ball and a strike. Noah's about to throw his 100th pitch of the day. There have only been 2 pitchers this year throw shutouts with fewer than 100 pitches. 1-1 to O'Brien. And he skips that slider in. 2-1. Trevor Williams for the Pirates had an 84-pitch shutout against the Indians in July. Corey Kluber had a 98-pitch shutout against the Angels in August. Noah's going to have to settle for low triple digits. Two out and nobody on. And O'Brien lines one to right. Conforto is there, and the ball game is over. Noah Syndergaard throws a complete game shutout to close the season. A 5-hitter for Syndergaard, his second career complete game. The Mets finished the season with back-to-back 1-0 victories. First time they've done that since 1969. As the Mets finish off an 18-10 month of September and win their final Citi Field home game for the 8th consecutive year.
Well, let's hope that this finishing touch right here is a portent of things to come in 2018 with this very, very talented starting rotation that really finished on an up note. 13th win for Noah.
And what a finish for the Mets starting pitching staff. 1 run in the last 40 innings thrown by the Mets starters this season. I see this lineup every day after a win, but it's going to be different on the final day.
Well, it's a long year, and you know it's long for us up here. It's these guys got to go out there, blood, sweat, and tears every day. And when the season's over, it's starts back in March, and here you are ending right now. Actually, it starts in February now. So it's a long, long year, and you know that it's over, and you say your goodbyes, your last congratulations. And you hope for better results next year, and it's just, you take a big sigh, a deep breath. It's over. It's a long year.
Well, as was noted earlier today, other teams might have faded down the stretch. This team did not. They played their best baseball in the last month. You can discount it if you want, but 18-10 in September feels a lot better than 10-18. And Syndergaard finished it off with a flourish. Noah will finish with a 13-4 record and a 3.03 ERA. So with the great year that DeGrom had, the outstanding year that Wheeler had, Syndergaard finishes strong as well, as the Mets get set to present their jerseys to the fans on the season's final day. Game summary presented by Good Humor. Todd Frazier drove in the game's only run, made a fine play behind Syndergaard in the 9th as well to preserve the shutout. Mets finished 77-85, a 7-game improvement from last season as the Mets win it 1-0. Steve Gelbs is standing by with Noah Syndergaard. Steve?
Noah, first ever complete game shutout for you. Second complete game this month, though, for you. That is such a rare thing in this day and age in Major League Baseball. What does that accomplishment mean to you?
It means a huge, great deal to me. I'd just like to dedicate that game to my late Aunt Carol, who passed away over my last start. So I just want to dedicate that to her.
How much did you have her on your mind today?
The whole time.
Why do you think you were able to be as efficient with your pitches the way you were today?
Probably because it's the last day of the season.
No, this last month you had a 1.73 ERA and 6 starts. I know you've talked at points this year about being disappointed with your season. How do you feel about the finish, though?
I feel great. Really nice to finish on a high note, and I really hate speaking to this microphone right now.
All right, well, I won't make you do it anymore. Noah Syndergaard, thank you so much for the time. Congrats on today.
Thank you.
Noah Syndergaard, after his dominating season-ending performance today. For every Mets win, the Mets organization is proud to contribute $2,500 to Northwell Health and the Cass Institute for Women's Health. For more information, visit northwell.edu/cat. This win brings the total contribution this season to $192,500. Mets win 1-0 on the season's final day. We'll come back with more from Citi Field in just a moment.